the night I seriously considered suicide. I was lying in bed, unable to sleep, after yet another painful, physically, mentally, and emotionally painful day at work. As I lay there, mulling around the thoughts in my head and watching the ceiling fan turn, 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 I realized that that ceiling fan was a good representation of my life. Going around in circles, never getting anywhere, and constantly having the same thing happen over and over. And I was beating myself up with all of the things from the day that I might have missed, or I had done, or I hadn't done. And it just all seemed so futile. Later, as I began to look back on that time, I realized that I was letting my own negative thoughts beat me up. I was allowing these negative thoughts to control me. Now, I call these negative, limiting, and often painful thoughts BBs, brain bullies, or BBs. And they can make a lot of noise rattling around in your head. Some of the thoughts that I had that others often allow themselves to be bullied by too are, I'm just not good enough. And if I didn't do something perfectly, I was a complete failure. And why can't I do anything right? So eventually, I figured out that a lot of those thoughts, those brain bullies, weren't even real. They were things that my mind had made up on its own. And I learned that the mind is actually very creative, and it can fool you. It creates thoughts that are not real, that can fool you into believing they are real. So let's do a little exercise right now. Allow your eyes to close, or just allow your head to rest down as you look down at your lap. And imagine that you are in your living room. And you hear the doorbell ring. Well, you're not expecting anyone. So you go to the door and you open it, and there's the UPS man in his brown uniform. And you see his brown truck out by the curb. And he's holding a brown package addressed to you. Well, you're surprised because you haven't ordered anything, but you sign for it, and you take the package into your kitchen. You set the package down on the counter. And when you unwrap that brown wrapper, inside is a beautifully decorated gift box. And now you're really curious because it's not your birthday and it's not any other special holiday that you're aware of. So you take the lid off the box and you set it aside, and you kind of chuckle when you see what's in it, because inside are 4 of the biggest lemons you have ever seen. And they're just nestled into the packing. So you pick up one of the lemons, and you're surprised at how heavy this thing is. It's huge. You set it down on your counter, and you take out your sharpest knife. And as you pierce the skin on this lemon, a little spurt of the juices come out, and you get that unmistakable tart citrus scent. And you cut the lemon in half. And as you do, it is such a juicy lemon that the juices start running across your counter. And you pick up one of the halves of the lemon that you just created, and you cut it in half, making this big wedge of juicy lemon. And as you pick it up and hold it, the juices are running down your arm, dripping onto the counter. And now you don't know what possesses you, but you take that big, juicy wedge of lemon and you bring it to your mouth and you take a huge bite out of it. And those tart juices just fill your mouth, maybe running down your chin. Now, open your eyes. What did you experience? Were you able to imagine or see the UPS man at the door with his brown truck and the brown uniform? And did you maybe hear the doorbell? And what about when you picked up the weight of the lemon? Did you notice, did you feel that sense of heaviness? And when you cut it and the juices started to run and it spurts, did you pick up on that scent? And what about when you actually put that thing in your mouth and took a big bite out of that tart lemon? Did your mouth start to water a little bit? Did you maybe get that funny feeling behind your jaw that you get when you bite into something tart? Or did you pucker up a little bit? Going, whew. Now, do you have a lemon in front of you or in your hand? No. Everything that you experienced was created in your mind with your amazing imagination. And the power that your mind has to create thoughts, to create sensations, to create a new reality for you is amazing. So, how can you take that creative mind, that powerful mind, and use it to banish these loud BBs? Well, how about if we take one of these out and let's look at it. It's pretty darn small when you look at it alone, and especially for the amount of racket that it sets up in your brain when it's really rattling around in there. So let's call this BB the not good enough BB. You know, that one that you have a thought that you'd like to go try something or do something, and you end up thinking about it, and you get second thoughts, and all of a sudden you're going, ugh, I'm not good enough at that. I'm just going to forget it. Not good enough, can't do it. I discovered that when you let these BBs, these negative thoughts, control you, then you don't get to have a part in your own life, the controlling part. So let's say, for example, You have a friend that's trying to explain something to you, and they're just stumbling all over themselves and not able to do it, and they can't find the words. Would you bully them for not being able to handle that moment? Would you tell them that they weren't good enough? No. You would probably help them to find the question, find the words that they were trying to find, or just let it go, knowing that it was just one of those moments. You wouldn't speak to your friends that carelessly by bullying them. So why is it okay to bully yourself in a similar situation? Why is it that we struggle so much to treat ourselves the same way and with the same kindness and courtesy that we would treat a friend? So imagine yourself now looking at this cotton ball, okay? And imagine that this cotton ball represents good thoughts, happy thoughts, positive thoughts. And you use these thoughts intentionally to muffle and soften the sound, the noise from the BB. And as you begin to learn to talk to yourself even more kindly, you notice that more of the BBs that have been floating around in your mind, rattling, creating racket, also begin to soften. The effects are softening on you. So, plan ahead. Think of 3 positive comments that you can say about yourself. You're going to say these to yourself, or preferably, if you're in the right situation, you're going to say them out loud to yourself. And keep these handy. Write them down and put maybe in your purse or wallet or by your nightstand or on your computer or on the center of your steering wheel. And that way, if you start noticing brain bullies getting around in your head, rattling and distracting you, just imagine yourself, as we did, taking that brain bully out, cushioning it in the kinder, gentler thoughts, and allowing yourself to move from the critical self-bullying stage into the happy, positive learning stage, where you can then begin to create the life that is enjoyable and you can be passionate about. Thank you for joining me. I'm Dr. Cynde Gardner with Bright Path, and I hope to see you soon.